Hello, I'm Dave Prentice, sports writer for the Liverpool Daily Post and Echo, and welcome to Football Confidential. Today I'm talking to our Everton correspondent Greg O'Keefe and James Pearce, our football correspondent at large. Well, Greg, I think it's fair to say that Everton's start of the season wasn't what the fans wanted, and in turn that puts an awful lot of pressure on this weekend's game against Wolves. I mean, you were at Ewood Park. I mean, how disappointing was Everton's display?
It was very disappointing. I think all the talk all summer had been about getting off to a flying start and getting 3 points in the bag early. But then you've got to remember Blackburn's home form last season was impressive, and part of the reason why they managed largely to avoid relegation struggle. But you know, it didn't happen. Everton were unable to unlock what was a very firm defence. Mikel Arteta was largely dealt with by Sam Allardyce, who pushed a centre half in Phil Jones up into that defensive midfield role. Fellaini didn't look 100% fit. Stephen Pienaar toiled all day, as he will do, but it just didn't seem to happen for him. And Louis Saha had one of his off days, so it was very difficult, and we didn't create, I would say, barely a handful of credible chances. I
mean, from the bits I saw on television, it appeared to me that a fairly significant improvement came about when the likes of Jack Rodwell and Diniar Bilyaletdinov in particular came on. Do you think that means there could be an opening for those two this weekend against Wolves?
Yeah, I mean, I'd personally guess that David Moyes might decide to start with Jack against Wolves. Possibly, he obviously rates, and rightly so, rates Marouane Fellaini very highly. But I wonder if it would have been wiser to have just used him in the role he used Jack and bring him on for maybe the last half hour.
I mean, obviously the defensive side of things is very important, and you know, all the defenders are involved in that. But equally, the two fullbacks are very, very important in. You know, at home in particular, creating chances. I mean, Leighton Baines last season was a man who created more goal-scoring opportunities than anybody else at the club, which is quite remarkable for a left-back. He started the season, one of the few, I think it's fair to say, who shone at Ewood Park. He'll be important on Saturday, won't he?
Yeah, Baines, he was my man in the match at Ewood Park. I felt that he, as ever, always wanted to, show that he wanted the ball, always wanted to bomb on and make those long busting runs up and down the flank. And I think he really does sort of fulfil the modern definition of an attacking wing back, and he's very solid defensively. And interestingly, we've now got that potential in Seamus Coleman as well. So it'll be another point to see whether or not he's on the bench on Saturday. He wasn't at Ewood Park, raised a few eyebrows. So it'd be good to see if maybe if he was on the bench and he could get involved, then you'd have that potential dual threat down each flank, and that could be the key to unlocking a stubborn defence like Wolves undoubtedly will be.
I mean, what do you think is a realistic target for Everton to be looking for this season?
Top four would be what they would hope for, but that realism has to be sort of hampered a little bit when you think about the spending levels of Spurs and Manchester City is just getting almost beyond the joke. So realistically, I would say European qualification at some level, and I think more for David Moyes, he would absolutely has to have a successful cup run.
Well, clearly it's going to be a very important game for Everton, and we'll be there online and in print to bring all the best report and reaction from Goodison Park.
In the red corner.
With me now is James Pearce, who was at Anfield on Sunday to watch a bright Liverpool start to the season against Arsenal. Looking ahead to Monday, there's an opportunity there for Liverpool to strike a massive psychological blow very early in the season. I mean, Man City, by all accounts, were singularly unimpressive at Tottenham on the opening day. They've also got a European tie themselves to negotiate, so they're not going to get any benefit in extra preparation time. And Liverpool, fingers crossed, could have Fernando Torres ready to start a game on Monday. Chance there to maybe do something quite significant very early in the season and get Roy Hodgson's reign off to an absolutely flying start.
It definitely is, yeah. I mean, Manchester City were very poor at Tottenham last weekend. They were they were indebted to Joe Hart. Without him, they would have been on the wrong end of a 2 or 3-0 scoreline. In contrast, Liverpool were impressive and showed a hell of a lot of guts and spirit against Arsenal. And Liverpool would have certainly taken a hell of a lot more positives out of their opening game than Manchester City. I mean, obviously, it's been well documented how much Manchester City have splashed the cash this summer. And they're in a different league to everyone else when it comes to their spending. But as we saw last season as well, that it doesn't guarantee anything. And to be honest, they've obviously had problems with infighting and all the rest of it. And they've got a hell of a lot of extortionately paid players there, all wanting to play, and it's a difficult balancing act for their manager as well.
I mean, it's very early days into the Roy Hodgson reign, but I mean, the feedback already from the players that we've spoken to has been very, very positive. What do you think is a fair target for Roy Hodgson to aspire to this season at Liverpool?
I think the number one target has to be to get back in the Champions League. That's where Liverpool demand to be, and that's where where they should be with their illustrious European history. Seventh last season was simply not acceptable, and I can see them achieving that this season. I still think Manchester United and Chelsea, are going to be the top two. But I think below that, I think we saw last weekend with Arsenal that I think they lack leadership, and I think they're a few players short of a decent side. And Manchester City, despite all the money they've spent, I can see them slipping up, often as well. So I think third is a genuine target this season. If Roy Hodgson could achieve that, he would have enjoyed a fine first year in the job.
Well, Jamesy, you've told us how you think the game might go. Let's put you on the spot. Give us a prediction for a Monday night.
Well, I think there'll be goals in the game, I can see Liverpool sneaking it 2-1. Manchester City, they are vulnerable at the moment. We saw that at Tottenham last weekend, and I can see that being the result that really kickstarts Liverpool's Premier League campaign.
Well, James will be there on Monday night to watch Liverpool. See if he's right. Pick up the paper next Tuesday and read our reports online.
Keep it up, keep it up.
Right, well, finally, this season at the Liverpool Daily Post and Echo, we're conducting our great Keepy Uppy challenge between Everton and Liverpool fans. We kicked off at Anfield before the game on Sunday, where Michael Aslanian from Tobruk managed a fairly reasonable 9.
Okay, go on. 9.
I reckon I can do a bit more than that. What about you Blues out there? You're up next. Check online and see what happens.